I have said it before, and I will continue to say it. The contributors to this channel are the best, bar none. This channel would not be what it is without its contributors. I have a background in military, Army intelligence, but it's decades old, and I have very little knowledge of the Navy. I have a lot more as of the last few months because of our contributors, and I would like to say thank you to those people. But here's another one. This is RFI. This came to me in a private message, an inbox message. This link. Now, I've never been to No Agenda Player before, but I listened to this, and it starts at the 1 hour and 40-minute mark, talking about Chinese seizing one of our quote-unquote research drones from the USS Jimmy Carter some time back, and it tells you all you need to know about what's going on. So thank you, RFI. This pretty much seals it for the issues going on with the Fitzgerald, the McCain, and the USS Lake Champlain this last summer. Now, in today's video, we've got a lot of new folks to the channel now with this new piece of information about the submarine cables. I am going to go over all of the relevant pieces of information you need to know about the issue with the Fitzgerald. Those of you waiting on the stuff from the McCain, don't think that I have forgotten about it. I am putting everything together for that as well. The issue with the McCain is a little bit different. What we saw with the Fitzgerald was very sharp, clear, defined turns that followed certain paths that correlate to underwater structures. We see that in the issue with the Lake Champlain as well. With the McCain, it was more of a gentle curve, and the time that was involved from when the McCain allegedly lost control to the accident is very short. It's only a matter of minutes. Whereas the issue with the Fitzgerald, it covers, an hour or two. So anyway, we are going to start with that. Once again, thank you, RFI. Very much would recommend going to noagendaplayer.com/listen/887/1-40-52. I will put this in the description as well. I've actually popped up the tab here, and so you can know that you've found the right place. Anyway, USS Fitzgerald. This is from the report. We're going to deal with facts. That's what we have done here at the channel. We have speculated about things that could be, but the reason we speculated is because we went to what they were telling us and confirmed beyond the shadow of any reasonable doubt that they were lying. So we just went on what could be because we knew what actually was being put out wasn't the truth. So this shows the track of the Fitzgerald. We have seen this. This didn't come out until a long time after. We were never able to get this during the time that this was in the news. It came out many, many, many months after. I think this was October, perhaps. Somebody might want to correct me on that, but I think it was October. Anyway, shows the track of the Fitzgerald. Spitball shows the track of the ACX Crystal. The reason I brought this up is I just want to show you hard left rudder increased speed. Okay, so that this, and we saw in the report yesterday from the video that they had tried to order a turned 240T to follow the cable, and I brought that up too. That's here. That's the 190 to 240 for the cable. But the order was not followed. And I still find that very strange. That alone should take you down a road. But something else, and this is where I lost a lot of you guys. Right after this, I was convinced that this was two events because the damage didn't match up. And I wanted to show you this. This is from the report. I kind of glossed over it, but it clearly shows the offset in the damage. Now, this would make sense from what we were assuming at the time with two ships running parallel. But what we know now is that they weren't running parallel, is that the Fitzgerald was crossing the bow of the Fitz from port to starboard, left to right in front of them. And I brought up a couple of things today that will illustrate and highlight how they knew, how they absolutely knew that there were two different events and something very, very, very bad happened out there that night. The first thing that I want to show you is when you look at this offset, is this video here. Now, this is a video of a destroyer. This is the USS Gonzales, and it is doing a hard evasive action port turn. And we actually have video we can watch of this. I'll kill the commentary there. But as you can see, it lists very, very hard in the direction of the turn. These, and for those of you out there from the Navy who know this, please just indulge me here. They don't turn like a motorcycle turns. When a motorcycle turns, you lean away from the direction of turn. The closest thing to the turn is the tires of the motorcycle, the bottom of the motorcycle. Ship like this, exactly the opposite. The closest thing to the direction of turn is the highest point on the vessel. And when you back this up, and I'll just give a real good look at this, of the position of this ship at the time of collision. The keel of this ship would have been one of the farthest points away from the cargo ship coming off from starboard. Now, let's go back to that picture. There's no way, if that bulbous bow hits here, that the top of the ship hits here. And if the top of the ship hits here first, there's no way the bulbous bow hits here second. We have two distinct separate events, and we can see this in the track of the crystal. See, we have an event here, and we have another event here. And I'm also going to show you something in the press conference. And I want you to listen to this. Okay, now 3 times in this press conference, this man makes the allegation that this happened at 2:20 in the morning. But I'm just going to play this forward.
Thanks for your comments there. So it was at 2:20 in the morning. We do have watch teams that are awake throughout the night, but a significant part of the crew was sleeping. And as I said before, 2 compartments that house 116 of the crew are in those compartments. And it was a significant impact to the side of the ship. And you can't see most of the damage. The damage is mostly underneath the waterline, and it's a large gash near the keel of the ship. And so the water flow was tremendous. And so there wasn't a lot of time in those spaces that were open to the sea. And as you can see now, the ship is still listing. And so they had to fight the ship to keep it above the surface. So it was traumatic. As to how much warning they had, I don't know. That's going to be found out during the investigation. But it was a significant impact that the crew had to fight very hard to keep the ship afloat.
And on the mechanics of the crash itself, sideswiped T-bone calls for help, efforts to maneuver to avoid it.
I don't know those kind of things, but it was a significant impact to the side of the ship. In order to get a puncture like that, I'll just leave that they were hit on the side by the tanker.
Okay, right there at the end, he almost slips. And this guy off to the left, I have watched this so many times, and I've looked at his behavior, and I've looked at that guy's Navy intelligence. I promise you that guy is Navy intelligence. It's been a long time since I've been in, but there's certain behaviors and certain things that are tells. And he doesn't really get involved in this press conference at all until the Admiral here goes off script and starts answering questions, and that's when this guy steps in. But it's when you look at everything together, and you look at the press conference, and you look at the motion of the ship, and you look at the damage, the one thing he says there, he says that most of the crew was asleep. Not at 2:20. Not at 2:20. I guarantee everybody was awake or other, at 2:20. So you have to make the allegation that either he didn't know, and if he didn't know, they had no business having a press conference. I think they knew what they wanted us to believe about this, and they held on to this information as long as they could. Let other things work its way into the news cycle when they slipped out this report on USNI. You never saw any major news organizations reporting on this. This channel on YouTube almost is the only one. that has been talking about this issue with the Crystal or the McCain or the Lake Champlain. And I want you guys to look at this damage again. And this is why we talked about EMP mines, submarines, other things that happen. And now we know that there's an undersea component to this. They were following a submarine cable. We know the Chinese have interests out there. We know the Russians have interests out there. You also have to look at the timing of the event. All three events happened when North Korea was incredibly active launching ICBMs. What do these three ships do? They are anti-ballistic missile ships. And then after the Jimmy Carter comes rolling into the state of Washington flying the pirate flag, the entire issue, not only with the ships being hit, but the entire issue with this big training problem that the Navy has, all went away. You don't hear about anybody going missing. You don't hear about ships having close calls. You don't hear about any of this. And you never heard about this in any other fleet. You didn't hear about this issue in domestically, South America, Europe, the Middle East. One issue with the Porter back in 2012 where we had bridge audio that shows that it clearly to do the ship was in very, very, very close proximity to another vessel and bumped into it. And the damage was minor, so it's an irrelevant thing. And nobody ever made the allegation there that that was a training issue, or that was because the crew, the watchstanders, weren't paying attention, or that they were too tired or overtaxed. So I'm telling you, we have two events here. Basically, we are going to, and I do promise, we're going to get to the McCain. I do have the research set up, and I'm going to do just like we did here with all the different tabs. It's a very different event, but it's very much related, just as the Lake Champlain is. The idea that you could have three events all correspond to man-made structures in the way that they do is just, without it actually being related to those undersea structures, is almost impossible. The odds of that are just, beyond calculating. So anyway, 12 minutes, we are way over for what we normally do. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much. Once again, no agenda, 887 at the 1 minute and 40 of this, December 18, 2016. So this is over a year old, talking about this issue. So like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thank you.